So good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for being with us today. My name is Amina Faham. I work for Dow. I'm based in Switzerland, and I'm here to talk about total cost of ownership and how we can manage this cost of the total manufacturing of a product without impacting the quality. And the reason behind it is simply because today the pharma industries are really living in a highly competitive but also highly regulated climates. And pharma companies are really very challenged to find creative ways to reduce their cost while maintaining the maintaining the regulation and the compliance standard required by the industry. So the total cost of ownership, it's really an objective ways to have an financial estimate, including all direct and indirect factors or cost of a product over its entire life cycle. So throughout this presentation, I will try to touch on how total cost, what total cost really means for a supplier, for an excipient manufacturer, as well as how we are really addressing this, which is very important. It's good to know, but how we are doing to really simple your life on a day-to-day basis, and then we wrap up the whole presentation. This is, I think, a nice way to really talk about total cost of ownership, right? It's a nice representation with this iceberg. And the reason behind it is because we talk about direct and indirect costs, right? Visible and invisible costs. So the cost number one, or the factor number one that comes to mind when we talk about excipients is how much does it cost? Which is fair, right? However, there are other costs that are hidden and beneath the surface of this iceberg, which really need to bring attention to that. And it's very important for you guys, for you excipients users, to really understand how these all factors really will play a role when it comes to estimate the total cost of ownership or total cost of your manufacturing product, where this excipients goes to. Okay? So excipients cost, it's, as I said, it's something very clear that comes to mind. It's on the surface, it's very visible. And then you have technical support, for example, is a key factor that really need to be considered because we spend a lot of resources in it. Not only speeding up R&D effort, but we are doing things like, companies come to us saying, can you help me to get back to FDA because I get this, deficiency letter. Or, for example, I need some regulatory support. I need some quality support. I need some specific product. So all this really help you guys to shorten your development time. The other factor that is also very important is the operational efficiency. And this is something we believe at Dow that every excipient manufacturer should be able to really reduce or make their manufacturing process more efficient to, reduce rejects, reduce waste, make it more efficient, more faster, to really bring more benefit to the excipient users. Logistics. I mean, how many of you really, think about logistics? All of us, right? Nobody is, or I would think, disruption in a supply chain can happen to anyone, anywhere, anytime, right? So having a very critical and very robust business continuity plan just help you guys to be prepared for the unexpected and minimize the impact on your business. So it's very important to have companies really day in, day out working on how we can make our logistics, better. Innovation, very key. Everyone talks about innovation, right? And it's very important. And every excipient supplier need to do that. And Dow, for example, and I will show you in a minute. I mean, we have people like in different specialities in polymer chemistry, polymer analysis, polymer science. That's really how we can bring that and tailor the polymer performance, for example, or come up with something new. But within the regulatory compliance box, there is no reason to or no benefits for you to come up with a new product that it doesn't have any regulation around it, and you need really more data to support that product in your formulation. And remember, we're talking here about total cost of ownership to help reduce the cost of the overall manufacturing of a product. Quality is another factor, right? We are all, concerned about this. How good is this product? But let's be honest. There is no perfect product in the market. However, we need to face a problem. If we know that there is a problem with the manufacturing process or in the quality of product, we need to face that. We need to have in place, in-process testing, continuous monitoring, and be careful on, are we really working closer with our raw materials suppliers every time we use the same product, the same quality, so we can manufacture a consistent and reproducible quality of product that goes into your drug product formulation. Reliability. This should be in our mind and in mind of everyone, right? It's very important. Reliability, it's really linked to high quality and patient safety. For the sake of time, I will really focus on, I would have loved to talk about and emphasize on all these factors, but they have to make choices, right? And I would like to really emphasize it a bit more on operational efficiency, on the innovation, and the quality, simply because we do know that our customers, these are top 3, concerns/issues that they are working on it. And we want to help with this, It takes a lot of resources, lots of time, a lot of dollars, but it's for, it's a win-win relationship and win-win work here. I would like to start with operational efficiency and innovation, and the reason behind it, I do believe, and we do believe, Heddaw, that these 2 factors are linked, simply because although we do know that not every dollars, right, or every hour spent in the innovation has the similar addition to the operational efficiency. But we do know for fact, right? We have been in the industry for 50 years, 60 years. We do know that these 2 factors, or the innovation is positively, contribute to the process efficiency and the overall growth performance. Now, innovation, it's really the core, right? It's really what makes the product good or not good, which makes your life easier or not, right? So it's very important to understand that at Dow, for example, and this is a snapshot, please keep this in your mind, that we have these 3 different groups working closely together. We're talking about chemical structure. How can I play with my molecule or my polymer chain? How can I make it better? How can I make it maybe, simpler to improve the chemical stability of your product? An example here. I'll come up with, an innovative product. Morphology, who is not concerned about the specifications, right? A product or an excipient does have a specification. Does the supplier understand these specifications, right? Why the substitution is between 8 and 12? What's happening if it's outside that? What's happening if it's within that? So it's very important that you have people working on a daily basis onto understanding this. And also the compounding is very important on process efficiency. And what we do, we leverage all this knowledge and tailor them into applications. And this coming from not only pharma industry, from industrial industry, from other businesses, which is fantastic, but how we can leverage them and apply them to pharmaceutical. And here we're talking about different, applications, going from control release, going to, from matrices, which is the most commonly used application, the most easiest, I would think, conventional, multi-particulate, and then osmotic with the osmotic pump technology, immediate release, going from tablet coating to foam granulation to drug layering, okay, for multi-particulate systems, capsules, and also another important point is bioavailability, which is really the trend challenging that it's really the pharma company is facing today. Now, one of the examples I will show you today on the innovation is the Metrocell Premium very low viscosity. This is the Metrocell is the most trusted polymer, right? Very well established. And we do know that, for example, in tablet coating, people are facing a lot of, running after how can I reduce my coating process. And with this polymer, because of its features, it allows you to really reduce the processing time because it allows you to increase the solid content without impacting the viscosity, yielding to increase productivity, specifically if you are at full capacity, and delaying any further or additional expenses, and also improved sustainability, which is one of of our corporate goal, by the way, and all this together really contribute to reduce the total manufacturing cost. How we get that? I mean, a lot has been written on coating efficiency, but very little on the economics of coatings. So what we did, we really worked with many customers, many large companies, but also with coating equipment manufacturers to really make sure that what we are doing was right? Taking real-life example, real-life needs, and plug them into what we call cost model calculator. And this cost model calculator, we made some assumptions based, again, on real-life example. For example, we took, an industrial batch size, which is around 300 kgs, okay? And we considered that the company will work with 2 shifts a day, 5 days a week, and 52 weeks per year. Okay, so and then we do this calculation, and by switching, for example, from Metrocell E6 LV to Metrocell VLV, you can really increase the productivity because you are shortening the time length of your coating process. Bottom line here is, by using the well-trusted polymer, the well-established polymer, the well-known, you can go from this to this. Okay? Without really talking about all the environmental, financial reduction that you can benefit from this product. This is one example on the innovation that we are working on. Again, remember, we're doing innovation within the existing product, within the regulatory compliance box. The other challenge the market is facing, it's really solubilization. Solubilization of APIs or poorly water-soluble APIs is really the leading challenge that the market industry is facing, more from the innovator, but most likely also for generics firms, right? And we do know for a fact that 40% of these APIs, poorly water-soluble APIs, do not reach the clinical trials, okay? And I will try to explain to you here the reason behind it. And then spray-dried dispersion, it's one of the most, I would say, known approach or technology to really use in combination with the polymer API to come up with or increase the solubility of an API, yielding to an increase in the bioavailability. And HPMC-AS, which is hydroxypropyl methylcellulose acetyl succinate, it's also a well-known polymer. Again, how we can improve the existing polymer performance and tailor its performance, we can use more and more APIs. So here we have solid dispersion, which is well-known technology, and HPMC-AS, well-established product. And recently, we made a press release, I think last Thursday, to talk about our exclusive collaboration with Bench Research. Again here, combining 2 leaders in the market, Bench Research, very well known in the solid dispersion or solubility enhancement technologies, and now the leader in the polymer knowledge and science. And here again, and I apologize, I have only 2 slides in here, but this is simply says, that the HPMC-AS, I don't know how many of you know this, but it has 4 different substitutions, right? You have the substitution that is for HPMC, and then you have 2 more important substitutions, which are acetyl and succinate for the HPMC-AS part. These are the 2 key, okay? And the existing product in the market, there are 3 different grades, fantastic grades, but it does have subspace of the substitution, which means they really work within a very narrow substitution range. And this is a limiting factor why there are a lot of APIs cannot reach the clinical trials. We cannot make a robust formulation and improve the solubility of these APIs because of this different grade exists in the market, but it does have limited substitution. So what we did, you see here all these black dots. What we did, because of our, the polymer knowledge, polymer chemistry knowledge, we played with this substitution. We love that, right? So we can place the substitution everywhere to cover all this range of the substitution, which means for you guys, you can really try to have samples, for example, of products of HPMC-AS with different substitution ratio. and find the best substitution level that really suits your formulation. So with all this combination, HPMCAS, polymer knowledge, bench research, and Dow together, we really seek to provide you guys with a more science-based approach, okay, to help with this solubility enhancement technology. So for this here, for this HPMCAS, for now, as of today, we do have product to support any development project. Okay, but we anticipate to have the commercial product by next year. What does this mean? It means that by offering this again a science-based approach, or science-based solution, it really allows you to have, how can I say it, very rigorous scientific discipline to fully explore the substitution levels and find that sweet spot for you. Maybe it's this one, maybe it's this one, maybe it's someone here for your specific APIs. Some example, of course, before we hit the market, we say, let's wait a minute here and really take example on out of this 40% of APIs failing the clinical trials and put them into real example of formulation. Here I just have an example of nifedipine, which is very popular API, and we tried different substitution levels. You see here, for example, number 2, with this different substitution from 1% succinate, we can go all the way up to 7% succinate. Okay, and you see these different graphs, right? I really don't need to comment. It's really self-explanatory. That depending on the solubility, on the substitution level, you can have a very nice solubility of the API, enhancing the bioavailability of your drug, or you have nothing. And on the right side, what we did, and I found it really very clever to characterize the release profile. It's very boring to see that the release profile, it's really fast or not, but characterizing the solution by the maximum concentration of the APR, or Cmax, and the area under the curve after 90 minutes, right? So it really gives you, how to say, a better visual interpretation of the data, right? From this information, linking this with your dissolution profile, you can tell which the formulation it's really, or which sample of the HPMCAS is the best for your formulation, okay? So again, it's an existing product. The main difference is flexibility. It's like QBD type of samples. How can I widen my design space and have a robust formulation? Okay, and not talking or working with a very, very narrow box, right? Because this is not helping the pharma industry. Now, let's focus on the presentation. We touch base on the operational efficiency and the innovation. And I apologize, I had to really give you some snapshot, but I can talk for hours for this. And then the next point I would like to touch base on it's really the quality. We cannot talk about quality, right, if we are not using the right excipients or with the right quality for a product, right? And we can talk about quality from, for example, there is a recent, growing concern about, for example, atypical visible particle, what the pharma industry is doing. And we are doing a lot of work in here. For example, you have packaging, because packaging can really impact the quality of the product, specifically contamination from the outside environment, right? To provide a lot of flexibility. Every customer has some specific needs for the packaging. Not everyone likes bags. Not everyone likes drums, right? But how we can provide that flexibility, right? And there is also QBD. Quality by design, it's been here for like what, maybe 5, 7 years, and it's going to stay here. Okay, and this is something we need to really address it. So also here we are working on it, and I have maybe 2 or 3 slides on QBD, doing very well on time. Good. Just to show you that QBD is not anymore, or no longer a vision. It does have a lot of potential financial benefits, right? This is an example. This is from a McKinsey source, where really they looked to the pharma industry as a whole, okay? And they looked into only the innovators. Sorry for the generics. But they looked into only the innovators. So what they did, they used these 5 values. So this is how they sized it. They took these 5 values, the reduction in COGS, the PPD productivity, the process and product development, the quality, here including like, you know, I don't know, increase in yield, less rejects, less deviation, and so on. And then increase in sales, of course, right? So, you know, the long story short here, what they did, what they're saying that by implementing the QBD at the R&D level, PBD, right, it allows you to, of an incremental of 20 billion to 30 billion in annual profit by reducing the PPD spending and by reducing the COGS by 15 to 25 billion on an industry of COGS here, 145 to 166 billion dollars, which is a lot of money. Now, this is nice, right? But what we are doing on the ground. So here also, what we are doing, because we are excipient supplier and there is this regulatory pressure on you guys, we do believe that the excipient manufacturer must shoulder significant responsibility in this. Right? How can I provide you with the product that you can use in your formulation and have you build this design space? This is just an example. We do know that for Metrocell, for example, hypromilose, it's a big animal. It does have 4 different factors that really have a potential impact on your formulation. So what we did, we tried to, this is 3 years work, by the way, because we took 3 years of production batches and we analyzed them. You know, within the typical manufacturing specification, but also outside that. We wanted to know how these factors, the substitution, the viscosity, the particle size, and the substitution as well, how they can impact your formulation. Of course, we cannot use all the APIs, but we had to make choices. So we used, you know, soluble API, insoluble API, and we worked together with our partners, Kurokon, to come up with data package, right? And this is the work was done at Dow. Again, it's a big project to rank order to this factor. The point here I'm trying to make is that how can I tell you one day, hey, you are using Metrocell, for example, K4M, don't worry about the viscosity or the particle size. Just focus your time on the HP. And I will give you samples of the HP with different substitution or different level to try it into your formulation. Okay? And we're using, you know, really the latest technology in analyzing the data to come up with this type of information or this type of information that really tells you what's happening in your formulation. So our commitment, it's really there, really. And I think many of you have heard about or have used, you know, our sample library, you know, on Metrocell. Quality by design samples. I hear this every day. Okay, it's available. Knowledge and experience. Some companies they don't have time to do those trials, and they may have to do it in the future, but sometimes the division letter that they get from the FDA is just telling them, you know, maybe some trending data would be enough to support their response to the FDA. And this is something, again, a supplier or the manufacturer should be able to provide that, to show you the history of the process, their manufacturing process, how this variability is within the batches of 2 years of production. And the FDA is accepting that. Why? Because we are actively participating in IPAC. We do have a QBD committee, and we are engaging in so many discussions with the FDA. We do know that what we are providing here is very well accepted by the regulatory agencies. Okay? And then here you see here title sales specification. This is against QBD, but we did it for Metrocell or for hypromilose with the agreement from the regulatory. Again, it's a big animal. So many variables. And we have the rationale behind, the science-based rationale behind it to really have the FDA accepting us to really narrow down the specification to give you samples in what is typically manufactured. Don't worry about what is outside. Just focus here. Okay? Now, this is my last slide, and hopefully, throughout this presentation, you have seen, how a supplier or manufacturer is really spending a lot of resources in, for example, improving operational efficiency, quality, to shorten the launch time, reduce your cost. A cheaper excipient or a cheaper medicine doesn't mean you need a cheaper excipient, really, okay? And excipient and supplier selection, this is very important to know with whom you are working. Really. Can I trust my supplier? Do I know where this excipient is coming from? And you need to have this transparent discussion with your supplier. Discussion among technical people have been really put. I mean, I worked for White Pharmaceutical, and I do know that we were not really involved in discussion when it comes to excipient supplier selection. But now they are, because they are the one really providing how is good or bad the performance of that specific excipient, how variable it is. So this is very important to have the discussion at the beginning of the project with the quality people, regulatory, operations, supply chain, as well as your supplier. So communication with the supplier is very important. It helps you to really save a lot of time. And we see it, a lot of people come to us. Really, and we're pleasantly surprised. Come to us, can you help me to do this? Of course, this is my product. It's my responsibility to help you with, okay? And now, I think the pharma industry, it's really shifting, right? It's not just about product quality. Remember, it's about, our family's health, right? It's about my health, your health. So it's very important to keep in mind that, again, a cheaper drug product doesn't mean I need to buy cheaper excipients. And I thank you very much for your attention.